Welcome to the 624 Pod, your home for all things independent films. We're going to discuss all the positives and negatives when it comes to independent filmmaking. We're going to have incredible guests from the film industry talk about behind-the-scenes experience, the good, the bad, the ugly, and how the industry has changed in the past 10, 20
minutes.
30, minutes, hours, years. That's the point. It's always changing. And of course, we will always focus on independent filmmaking right here in our state of New Jersey. I'm Tom Baldinger.
And I'm Mark Rigodano.
All right, let's do this.
I know we have another great episode.
We do. Another fabulous actor who's joining us, who's done some fabulous work. He's been in a number of TV shows, a number of movies. Some of my all-time favorite TV shows. One of them is NYPD Blue.
Okay.
So I'd like to introduce to you, Mark, Anthony Mangano. Anthony, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me on. Thanks for asking.
Thank you for joining the 624 podcast. So the theme of of this podcast is to talk about independent filmmaking, studio filmmaking, the successes, the failures, the ups, the downs, the do's, the don'ts.
Mhm.
But more importantly, Anthony, you were in one of my all-time favorite TV shows. It inspired me to get into film and TV, which is NYPD Blue. So thank you so much for being in that show. You had a great character on that show.
Oh yeah, Ed Laughlin. I know. I was I had an Irish name. I sure as heck don't look Irish. But my wife and daughter are part Irish. But yeah, that was a great show. I got cast, and Bill Clark was the guy that basically brought me in casting and everything. And I started out. I played another character, and it was only one episode. Then they decided to bring me in with Ricky Schroeder. I think it was Rick Schroeder. Yeah, I was with Ricky Schroeder, and I worked with him a couple episodes, and then they decided to bring me back for a big 1-hour episode where they turned me in from a good guy to a bad guy, and then from that
you were the bad
point,
guy against Paul Gosselaar, right?
Yeah, then Mark came on the show, and here I am fighting. Basically going at Zach from Saved by the Bell. And it was pretty funny. Nice kid, really nice guy. I could say kid, I'm still old, and we got along great. And then there were a lot of episodes we were working together, which led up to there was episodes after the big fight scene that we had this boxing match.
Yep.
And I remember I was training for that, and we would shoot, and I was out in LA, and I was living here. So I was living in a hotel out there that they put me in, and I would go to the set. We'd shoot a couple hours. They mapped it out. Then Mark and I would be shuttled over to Freddie Roach's gym. The guy that Freddie Roach is very, you know who Freddie Roach is, right?
Yeah.
So Freddie would train, his guys would train Mark and me. So Mark would be training to do all the boxing stuff, and I'd be doing all the Mike Tyson stuff, the swing and punch. And here I was, man, I was hitting sandbags and jumping rope. And I would come back at the end of the night. I would call my wife and go, look, I'm going down to the jacuzzi because I'd have to sit in that thing for like an hour to try and loosen myself up. And when we were sparring, Mark Tinker came up and he saw me. I was breathing a little heavy. He goes, what are you breathing for? You know, you're in shape. I said, Mark, how old do you think I am? So Mark thought that I was about 32. When in reality, I was 40 at the time.
Okay. Well, you didn't look 40.
No, it didn't. But Mark was younger than me, and I'm like, it was taking, it took a lot out of me. And I'll tell you a very funny story is that when we fought that day, we fought for 16 hours. That stupid little thing took 16 hours. I can only imagine a Rocky fight to get it. So I remember that the next day, Mark hit me so hard in my ribs, it kept missing. I think there was like a hairline fracture. They checked it out that night. I had to read the next day for a pilot in the morning and all this other stuff. And at Warner Brothers, and I come in, all I kept asking for was Gatorade when we were shooting. Just get me Gatorade, right? He's drinking shakes. The next day I came in, I'm jumping around feeling like a little kid. He's not feeling well. I said, well, that's not good, man. You're 28. I'm 40 years old. You should be up and at it, It was a great, great opportunity, great show. I mean, really, one of the memorable moments of my life. That was a really great show, really great cast. Dennis France, excuse me.
Dennis Franz, yeah.
him and I would be like this on the show, but best of friends when we were off the show. It was
Oh,
really
that's
crazy.
awesome to hear.
He was such a good guy. They were all great. They were everybody. Gordon Clapp, everybody. The girl, I forgot who she's on the Housewives or something now. I don't know, but they were all a really really good cast. They really enjoyed myself on that show.
All right, you brought up Dennis Farina. I'm going to ask both of you, who's your favorite tough guy cop
My
on
favorite
television?
tough guy.
Dennis Farina's mine.
I'm going to go with Dennis Franz.
I have to go France.
Wow,
But Farina,
nice.
Farina was great in my friend Tony Dennison was the lead in a Crime Story.
Crime Story. Yep.
Yeah, and Dennis, because Dennis was a real cop.
Yes, he was. That's
So he had a lot.
right?
Chicago.
So he always had a lot to draw on.
Mm-hmm.
You can always. I remember one day. This is a true story. One of the guys came up and says, "You are the best cop that acted on this show." And I says, "Okay, strike that. Let me rewind that. No, I'm an actor playing a cop." I didn't realize it. I said, "I've just had enough experience being around policemen in all these years that I knew how they walked and how they carried themselves, because I used to get, my thing was wherever I was going on a train in New York, they would go 5-0, 5-0. The bad guys thought I was the real thing. So that was pretty funny.
Oh my God, that's awesome.
So,
Yeah.
and I remember you telling me a story, and this is I think it's a good story for people to hear, fans of NYPD Blue, or just the process of TV making or filmmaking. You told me that there was a story. It was the scene you had with Rick Schroeder in NYPD Blue,
Oh God.
and you were at the bar. It was
Uh-huh.
you and Rick at the bar, and they kept changing lines, right? They kept
Well,
doing rewrites. So go ahead, tell that story, please.
David Milch. They used to say you just got milched.
Mm.
And David goes, he'd be sitting there, and you could see the genius working. And
On
he would
set
go,
while you guys are working.
while we're working, and he said, "You can't go anywhere. I just rewriting a scene for you and Rick." I said, "Okay." So he comes down. I swear to you, maybe an hour later, 5 pages of dialogue.
Oh my God.
Now, Rick's answers to me are short and cryptic. Okay, mine are monologues. So I'm sitting there going out. Now that everything's riding on me because all eyes are upon me. I'm the guest. So I was having the hardest time. So I did a Marlon Brando. It worked for him. It worked for other actors. I wrote my dialogue on bar napkins.
Nice.
And they were placed. And I asked the cameraman, "Are you catching this?" And he goes, "No." So here they are. So we're doing shots and we're drinking beer. So every time I went for a shot, if you ever see that, you'll see me look down. Then I come up and look at Rick and I gave my line. It looked like I was in character. And everybody goes, "Oh, you did fantastic." I go, "Baloney, man. I cheated the whole time." I'm being as honest as I can. Maybe it looked good, but I couldn't memorize that. I went home that night. I felt like I fought Tyson. I was mentally beat. I was almost in tears because it was so much going on. Because you want to do a good job, you're not a regular on there. You're like
Right.
recurring, so you're trying to do your best as you can. But that really happens when you hear those stories about Brando having, like, you saw a picture, Robert Duvall would have all the dialogue on him.
Yeah, he had it on a billboard. Yeah.
Yeah, that stuff happens. Sometimes you can't memorize it.
When you told me that story, I being an avid NYPD Blue fan, I went and I started, because it's on Amazon Prime, so I started going through the episodes, and I found your episode and I watched it. And Anthony, I'm not saying this because you're on the show. I had no idea that your lines were there, and I watched for it. That's how well you did. I mean, you were so, and I'm not saying that. Like, honestly, I paused it. I went back. I'm like, all right, is he cheating? Did he cheat? And I never thought that. Never got the idea that you were, or I remember knowing that, knew that, oh, he's looking at his line. Never got that. So kudos to you for doing such a great job on the, with the gun to your head.
It's also funny is that when you see that scene, we filmed, I guess, more than 3/4 of the episode. And then I was off for like 3 weeks, and they decided to rewrite the scenes. Rewrite another scene, and then he added to that. I'm 10 pounds lighter. Take a good look. You'll see. All of a sudden, I said, "This guy's." You could see it in my face. It's like How do you lose weight from one scene to the next? It's people
He
don't notice
ran
that.
downtown for the next scene.
Yeah, some people notice it, some people don't. But it was. I appreciate you saying that because it was really, it was that was tough. It was a
You
little
know,
tough.
though, I sincerely believe that if you're as an actor, as the actor, if you're so into your character and you're so into the skin of who it is, it doesn't matter what else happens. It's the right thing to do because you're in character, and that's what the
Oh
character
no,
would
no,
do.
no, yeah, it's true. I agree with you on that. Yeah. I mean, I was in character, but you're talking. It was just one of those things. But thank you, Tom. That makes me feel good that you
No,
couldn't
it
catch.
was, and I was glad when they brought your character back with Mark Paul Gosselaar. That was a lot of fun. It was really cool. It was I was you're you know I'm a huge fan of the show, and I was glad that they brought your character back.
Thank
Um,
you.
Anthony, talk about for our audience here and for Mark and I, how has the business changed?
Tremendously. I think that
Yeah,
because of COVID, uh, used to be we used to go on an audition and you used to go into a casting office, whether it was for a film, a TV show, even a commercial. And I pride myself on being in front of an audience. So, I trained in the theater and stuff like that. So there's nothing like getting a human reaction to what you're doing.
yeah.
Now, when you audition, eh, there's it's just a certain animal. Like I used to, when I was a kid, I would get all nervous and stuff. When I got older, I would see people and I'd nod to them, say we could talk later, and I would just go into your own zone and do my thing and then leave. And if you got it, you got it. You got it. You didn't get it. There's always those intangibles as why your
Yeah.
looks or something. But now it's kind of, I mean, I've gotten casted from my reel, but
But you're doing auditions like this, right? You're doing auditions
exactly.
on a
And
Zoom, right?
you can also, you do it Zoom sometimes live
Self-tape.
or self tape. And like my wife, I mean, my wife's a teacher, but she's become my reader, or my daughter who's in casting when she can, she tapes me. So it becomes, you can do multiple takes. That's the only advantage you have.
Mm,
Whereas in a casting office, they may get frustrated if you don't grab it the first one or two. You could see them getting frustrated, which makes you frustrated. So you got to try and zone out. But you can actually take a few takes, and then if you have, like, my daughter knows what she's doing, she can edit, like, and put it together
yeah.
properly. But
But now
it's
you're becoming a director and an editor instead of you
yeah, that
going
was
in.
like this whole thing that was in the contracts that they were trying to solve. It just becomes, it's a whole different animal. It's I miss that interaction between like I'm having with you guys, even though we're on Zoom, we're zooming each other. Being in a room, I could do something to
Yeah.
make it, especially if you're doing a comedy, which I excelled in before I got into dramas, which I did a
Mhm.
few here and there, but I used to do a ton of sitcoms and stuff, and I would get pilots where you make the people laugh in a room. You go in a room and there's 50 people in a room and you make them laugh, you have them.
Yeah.
It just depends on. I remember I did a pilot with Kathleen Turner, and the reason why I got it was because they wanted us to sit. And I said, Kathleen, I really don't want to sit. Can we do this standing? Because it just feels better. And I flung the chair, and she goes, I like his style. And she threw the chair, and everybody laughed. And when I walked out, I kind of knew,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and I got the call 15 minutes in my car. So it was nice.
And there's something about a performer, you said you started in the theater that does live. When you're in a room with somebody, there's like a sense that's above you, that's like reading the energy of everybody. And you know when to be funny. You know when to take something serious. You know how to deal with them and let them know, like, hey, I'm a decent person. I'm a good guy, whatever. But when you're on that tape, it's like they just see you do your thing. It's like
Yeah.
you
And
don't really get to know them or they don't know you. And
they
Are
don't
they
know anything
doing
about you. It's very, very, it's kind of cold, if you get my drift.
yeah,
It's not that feeling of being in the room, and I
yeah,
trained. I mean, like, I'll just tell you something. When I first started, I was doing Saturday Night Live pretty much every weekend, and I was nothing but maybe an extra or one line or two
Hmm.
lines. But I was there learning because when I learned that when I would do a live show in front of the whole nation, and you don't mess up, you can do sitcoms, you can do anything because you basically it's like you pick up the vibe.
Yeah.
Like a sitcom has a certain beat to it, whereas a dramatic show doesn't. Sitcom you
Yeah.
have to be a little bigger. A 1 hour show you tone it down depending on the role. So, but like you were saying, going back to what I was saying, Tom, that's what's missing in that respect
Mm.
is that you're not going in the room.
Do
And
they not do that anymore? Is that
they're
gone?
not they're not doing it really, very, very far and few. Like my daughter said the other day, she had an in-person casting job, which was a shocker to me, you know.
Yeah.
But I hear about it. But I would imagine if you're gonna go for a lead in a movie, the director's gonna wanna meet you. I mean, if they're that serious, I think they're gonna wanna see you in person, unless you're big enough and famous enough that they know the individual's work. But even then, they're gonna wanna have lunch or something. They have to, you
Gotta be
know
some chemistry
Do they
there.
want to spend 3 months with you?
Yeah, that's the other thing. And then, sometimes your reputation precedes you if you're
Good
a
or bad?
good
Good.
person to work with or a person that's hard to work with. And, if
Right.
you're hard to work with, you may not get a job,
Right.
because like you said, do they want to spend 3 months with an individual? So I just basically I keep to myself now that I'm older. I used to always be out and about. With my friends I am, but
Right.
I'll
Right.
sit in my room and read comic books till I'm ready to work. I just don't wanna fraternize because
So
I'm afraid if I say the wrong things, something could get misconstrued.
I watched a lot of Instagram videos or whatever, and I came across one, and it just brings us to what I'm about to talk about or say here, and I want to get your thoughts on it. Brings us to the topic of auditioning and how it's changed. There's a recent clip of Michael Keaton talking. I guess he was
Love
at
Michael Keaton.
a Michael Keaton, great actor,
I
and
saw
he's
it.
you know what I'm
Saw
about
it.
to say, and he said that I got the job when I got the audition.
Yeah.
That was my job. My job was going into the room and doing that's how I got the job. I almost like want to ask you, I want to ask every actor that I know, is that the same mindset now? Cuz
I never thought of that way like Michael Keaton did, but now that I watched that and heard it, I can understand it. There is some validity to that
mm,
from his perspective, but it's also, it's not taking anything away from it. When you're on top, it's easy to make
to
those calls,
right.
you know?
Sure.
But when you're struggling, like a lot of actors are, because it's a different business now,
Yeah.
um, sometimes it can be nerve-wracking. You have to have very, very thick skin, Tom. You really
Yeah.
do. Because you have to know that, but I agree with him there. You do your best. You study, learn your
Right.
lines, try to be off book, and do your audition your best. Now, if you don't get it, it's just not meant to be. Something could be there, and that you've been in the position where shooting and everything, and you're in a room. Sometimes a guy will walk in or a girl, and it's just something there that they go, "That's it."
Yeah. For sure.
And that other actor may be better, but that person has that it. There's
But
so
then
many
and
guys, male and
but
female out there, phenomenal, talented people, and they don't. It's just the way it
But
works,
they don't get that opportunity now, to your point. They don't get that opportunity to walk
No,
into the room and the
no,
casting director or the director just looks and goes, "Oh, yeah, I want that person." And those they don't
yeah.
have to speak, and then once they
There's
speak, it's like,
something
"Oh, it's even better."
there's something about, I always remember this. This is a very funny story, and it is compared to what you're saying. When they were auditioning for James Bond originally, they're waiting for this guy called Sean Connery, and they're looking out the window, and the casting, and I think not the casting, the Purdue Broccoli and Salzman saying, "Look at the way this guy walks across the street, like he owns the street. He's bouncing." It was Sean Connery. What I'm saying
Nice.
is that's what's missing. There's something that when you walk in the room, you may have a swagger, a way, a wink that just captivates them.
And I think it's really important for as this podcast is about independent filmmaking. I think more independent directors, we all use casting directors where I mean, I'm at fault at it too. I'll use work with a any one of these casting directors, and they'll just send me, a bunch of reels of people's, they say, Tom, just give me the side, and they'll just self tape and let them see it, and I'll go
Mhm.
through it. And there's a piece of me that says, damn it, I wish we could be in a studio, in a room, and these 12 people that just showed me their reel, I want them to walk into the room. I want to talk to them. I want to get to know them. And yeah, you might do a second audition, a callback where you're doing a Zoom like this, but it's still not the same.
Mm-mm.
It's like when you're in the room with somebody, it's like anything. It's like business, sales, whatever. When you're in the room with another person and you're two human beings or three or four human beings in a room, you kind of build that chemistry. You build something.
That's the point that I think you're making, and when we're saying that it's
And
what's
I
lacking.
want more independent filmmakers. If you're listening to this and you're watching us, try and make that leap. Go there. Don't. And I'm going to start doing it myself. I'm going to. I want to. Of course, it comes down to funding too, because you got to pay for the room, you got to pay for the
Well,
casting
there's
director. Show,
there's
so
there's the key. Whereas the biggest misconception I don't understand is that, but because you understand business end of it, so if I'm a casting office, I now have no overhead.
right,
And they all work from home. Most of them,
most of
you
them
know.
do. That's correct. That's absolutely
So
right.
you're not paying rent, you're not paying the travel expenses, you're not doing this,
Nope.
you're not doing that. So that works in your favor. But then if you need to have a callback, they rent the space just for the callback. So
Exactly.
it's just very, very weird.
Well,
I just did a lead in a film in right before the strike, and it was a fluke, man. I auditioned in April, and I came back from Florida, and I had gotten good news that I had got a part, recurring character, which I'll just make you laugh, on a superhero show. I cannot say which. I
yep.
may still be under obligation. I don't know. And then I got this call. Are you available from my agent to do this movie? And I said, wait, I auditioned in April. And I knew one of the producers. And then they said, could you meet the director tomorrow? So I said, okay. I met him. They want you, and you got to start Monday. So I had to replace another actor who wound up being my brother in it, but I had so much dialogue that I had a lot riding on me. So I had to
Oh,
really
wow.
jump into the role. That's one of those fluky things.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
It's one of them fluky things. So, it happens. Sometimes it does happen like that. That was like one of those crazy things. An actor or an actress may have to back out for some reason, and you're stuck, meaning you. What do I do? And you have to go to second choices, third choice, and see who's going to rise to the occasion.
Somebody
Yeah.
told me to put bar napkins with the lines on it right in front of you.
Good. There you go. Good tip, right? Good tip.
Can
But
you tell us the movie that you're starring in?
it's called The Narrows, as far as I know now. It was called The
Nice.
Narrows.
Nice.
Cool.
Is it coming out? Is it being released? Has it been
It's
released?
they've been finishing the editing on it and everything. I would imagine it might be soon. It's a cute
Excellent.
little family film. It's not a big budget film. It's a cute little family type thing. I do play a mob guy, but I'm not, and which is strange because now I'm playing more mob guys. It's very weird. I'm the only guy that didn't get on The Sopranos that auditioned a million times. So not in Boardwalk Empire, but I think it's coming out soon. But it's a
Okay.
cute one. But it's not. I'm not killing anybody or breaking legs. So I play a lovable. According to the description is in IMDb. I play a lovable gangster.
Is
You
that
know.
are there lovable gangsters around?
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Big teddy bears.
But but getting back to what you were saying, Tom.
Yeah.
The business has changed so drastically that movies that are coming out, and I hate to say it, I love movie theaters and all, but I think they're going to be a novelty in the future. Whereas everything
Yeah.
winds up streaming, or these movies come out 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and they're already streaming.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
which says to me, like I sit there going, so basically, it's a win-win for the producers and the director because they can get nominated for an Oscar and get nominated for an Emmy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because it's
That's
in two
crazy.
different it's two different awards because they're both on the thing. I mean, I don't know, some of these movies are calibers, like an action film or superhero, they only work on big screens,
Yeah.
Godzilla and stuff. You want to see that on a big screen.
Right.
The Avengers or Captain America or Superman, you want to see it on a big screen. Just even though the technology in the home viewing TVs and entertainment centers are beautiful, it's just
No,
not the
seeing
same.
it. No. You went. No, I'm a big comic book guy. I have thousands of comic books in my house. I love seeing the superhero films on the big screen. It's not the same. No matter how big your TV is in your house, it's not the same.
Yeah.
Um, Anthony, talk to me a little bit. That we had a prior guest earlier this season. I think you know Dan Loria.
Oh yeah. Wonder
So
Years, great guy.
we were talking to him, and he was telling us, and I'm curious if you hold the same thought of this, of how movies were made years ago to how they're made today, which is today it's cut, 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 cut. It's coverage, 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 coverage. There's no you don't see scenes being played out in the wide. You don't see scenes being played out in a two shot. How do you think are you of the same mindset of like you would like to see? And he said quote, if you talk to a young director today and tell him stop doing all these cuts, at these coverage shots, you're not going to make it in Hollywood. Right? Or you're gonna make it in Hollywood. But if you go back to the old way of making movies with wide shots and two shots of the whole scene, you're not gonna make it. Do you feel the same way, Anthony,
Yeah,
about
they're
how
losing
films are made
because
today versus then?
the movies from yesteryear, you can go to Lawrence of Arabia. Imagine trying to make that cut, 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 cut.
Oh, yeah,
Gone with
crazy.
the Wind, cut, 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 cut. I mean, you can
Yeah,
go down the road. The Godfather, cut, cut, cut. Certain filmmaking should be made a certain way. Although it's just I don't know. It's what society dictates, that everything's got to be fast because of the iPhone, because of everything. Where everything, I see that they made these like little TV series, like 15-minute shows that is
yeah,
shown on the phone. What the hell are
yeah.
you going to get in 15 minutes?
But that's the way, it's like,
It's fast food entertainment.
it's exactly fast food entertainment. But in some ways, you have to conform to it a little bit. And we, Mark and I have a show that's going to be coming out soon, and each episode is what 5-6 minutes long. But what we did was we shot it in a lot of two shots. We shot a lot of wide instead of it being coverage, coverage, coverage.
It's very sketch feeling. It
Sketch.
feels like a sketch more than, even though it's reoccurring, everything's reoccurring. The way you shot it and the way it feels is very sketch oriented. Like it's
I'd like more films to go back to that, to come back to that kind of that feel.
I would love to, it depends on, and you feel bad as an actor because you don't want to overstep your bounds, but you want to say, did you get me in that? Was there a close up? No, we got you in a two shot. We got to pull. Then we'll go in a little tighter on a two shot too. So like I said,
Yeah.
I'm sitting there going, I know enough to know that I don't. All right, hopefully it'll come out right. Sometimes you got to trust your director, but there's sometimes where you've been around long enough to go, I don't know about that one.
Have you
But
have you been on set for like independent with young directors or new directors? Have you ever wanted to like step in, or have you been like, I'm
I've
not gonna.
helped out a little
Okay.
bit when
Hmm.
somebody's in trouble, and I would not to overstep my bounds, but I might, they might look at me and go, "What do you think?" And I go, "Do you really want to know?" And then I'll go, "If you want," I'll just say, "You might want to," and then they go, "Oh, I didn't think it," and I go, "Okay, it's up to you. You do what you want. That's just
Right.
what You asked my opinion, because you don't want to. I don't want to get anybody mad or anything like that, but it depends. Some of them these young ones are coming out. It's like you said, everything's got to be quick, 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 two pieces. But I don't know what kind of a masterpiece you're going to create. Whereas, like I just saw, I didn't see the film, but I know he's nominated. It was Bradley Cooper in The Maestro. I
Yes.
know that can't be a two shot. I think he kind of shot that old style.
Yeah.
It looks
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
way.
Yeah. It does. It does look like it's a lot in the wide and everything like that.
A
It
lot
does.
of
It does.
certain films like that, that's just kind of a Scorsese-ish, Coppola, that you learn from the masters.
Right.
Let's be honest, everybody steals from everybody. You don't mean to, but it's kind of I would say an homage. It's, you're paying tribute by, you're taking certain scenes and you're kind of like recreating them in a certain way, but it came from somebody else. That's where they got it from. So
Everybody steals from everybody. Mark, as a stand-up comedian, would you say that is the truth?
he knows it is. He knows it is. He knows everybody takes a little bit from everybody, and it just.
I think somebody said there's only 6 jokes actually out there. It's just you change the setup.
Yeah, there's just some really good stuff. I mean, there's some great stuff going back to Charlie Chaplin. I mean, come on, man. These guys, they were artistic geniuses, and that's why I said a lot of the young guys today. I think that they should, like you said, Tom. I think a lot of them should take film study and watch those films to learn about what true film. And remember, now they sat in a room piecing together film
right
to get a shot. Whereas, what the filmmakers today, if I said to them, well, you owe everything to Jerry Lewis, and they go, Jerry Lewis, why do I owe Jerry Lewis? He's a comedian. Yeah. Well, he invented the video assist, which made it so much cheaper on film that he could play back that video to see if the scene went well. That's amazing, right?
Yeah.
Wow.
And like
cool.
Another tidbit, like the 3-camera shot on a sitcom. Do you know who we owe that to?
Who's that?
I'm going to say
Desi
Jackie
Arnaz.
Gleason, but I have no. Oh,
Desi Arnaz.
Really?
Ricky Ricardo. The guy was very smart. Desi Lou Production. He was very smart. He created that 3-shot to get on a sitcom. Sometimes even a 4th camera. You break the 4th. They're filming all different angles. Because you get this camera 1 pickup, camera 2, camera 3. See, there are some really good stories out there about guys that were geniuses that bring ideas.
For sure. So, Anthony, I'm glad that you have you on the podcast here. You're looking well. So you're back. You're back in. You're doing well. You're feeling better these days.
Yeah, it was.
You don't mind sharing?
Yeah, no, I don't mind. Everybody out there, I'll just say exactly what I had. I suffered from a stroke, which was brought on by high blood pressure, which I wasn't sure of. Which I tell everybody, make sure you check your pressure, don't play around. And it was called a hemorrhagic bleed. Stroke, which 76%, I think it's 74% of the people die from, because you're bleeding in your brain. And that just happened to one of the dances from Dancing with the Stars. My wife told me the blonde guy on the show is the host's wife. They were on tour, and she suffered. She passed out. They had to remove part of her cranium.
Oh my God!
For the blood, that's what they do. And they didn't have to do that to me. Mine was very contained. It stopped, and I had to go through a very, very long process, months, till I was off the cane and off I had brace on my leg to keep my leg from buckling forward, and to train myself every day with therapy when I was in Burke Rehab, which was phenomenal in White Plains. And when you're laying in a bed, Tom, looking out a window that's so small, going, what the heck happened? And go, can I just get back to myself? Because, you can't, not to get graphic, but you have people taking care of you in more ways than you can imagine. I'll let you just use your brain to figure that out.
Yeah.
And you have to want to come back to function. And I had my wife, my daughter, and everything. I had my brothers, I should say.
How long were you in rehabbing?
Let me see. It was about 2 months from the stroke. From there, out of Burke, I was out. I was an outpatient, but I was going to therapy for about another 2 to 4 months. 2 more months till I got rid of the cane, because every day they were telling me walk and walk, and then I was like, you know what, I can do it. Put the cane down. I was walking around the neighborhood. I made it one day. I wouldn't tell my wife. I walked like a mile. And I called her and she started yelling at me. I said, you gotta come pick me up. Why did you do that? I said, I had my phone. I had it. I'm not going to get anywhere unless I try. So I did that. And that's when that first gig came in, that I was, again, replacing an actor last minute. But that was okay with me. It was my first job. And I said, sure. They knew I couldn't really stand long, but it was a night shoot. And the irony of it all, I got there at 5. We shot to 7 in the morning. I was the only guy still awake that didn't have any coffee.
Good for
I
you.
like that they had to bring in the guy who just recovered from a stroke to cover for another actor.
Yeah, and he's a pretty well-known actor, but I don't know, something happened, and I was like, "Okay,
Oh,
I'm
that's awesome.
fine. I'm fine. I can do it." So, it was a very, very long, tedious, rehab, but
Well, you look
it paid off.
fantastic, man. You look great.
And you know what
You're
we
back.
did to make you
What's
laugh?
that?
My
Yeah.
daughter came up with the idea. She said, "Dad, let's do something really special for the 1-year mark on your, stroke. Let's run the Rocky steps." So I trained and trained. It was like 72, 74 steps, and I did it. And we
Oh,
went back
nice.
last year, and as long as I live and I'm capable of doing it, every year on March 19th, I'll do those steps.
Nice.
That's great. I
Just
love it.
like just to know that you know,
You can do
I'm
it.
not trying to be Rocky. I'm trying to just show
Yeah.
a point.
Oh, that's great. I
Yeah.
absolutely love that.
That
I
is
absolutely love that.
fantastic.
All right, so we have a question that we ask all of our guests. Asks. Why did I just say asks? Like,
We're going to
You're in New
ask
York.
you.
what's that?
You're in New York. And
I
you're
get.
talking
I'm
to a
from New
guy in
Jersey,
Brooklyn.
and I'm in New Jersey, but I was talking like as if I'm from New York. Depends. Actually, you know what? Speaking of, anytime like my wife and I will go on vacation, and like you're at a club, the live bands playing or whatever, and someone or stand-up comedian, they go, "All right, how many people here from New York?" And I'm going, "Yo!" And my wife's going, "You're not from New York. You're New Jersey. Why would you stop?"
That's
Like,
pretty
you're
funny.
not from New York.
New York adjacent.
Yeah, exactly.
I have
What do they?
Vic DiBitetto, right? You
Oh,
must know who
very
Vic
well.
is.
Yes.
So Vic used to come up with a line that I used to think was hysterical, and Vic used to say, "Staten Island is Brooklyn with a cover charge." That's all it
I
is.
remember
You pay for Verrazano Bridge. That's your cover
Uh,
charge.
that's great. I love it. I love it. So we ask this question of all of our guests, and we're interested in hearing your answer. And I didn't prep you for this,
Sure.
but I know you can. I know you can handle it. So
Sure.
we ask all our guests, give us your top 3 films currently right now. Not current films, but your top 3 films today.
We have
That
10 hours to kill on a bus trip.
Wait,
Pick
you
3
mean
films.
from yesteryear to now, whatever I like?
Whatever your 3 favorite films that if you had, like Mark said, if you had 10 hours on a bus and
Okay.
you had 3 movies yet you were going to watch, what would they be?
My favorite movie that I fell in love with was a Paul Muni film starring him and Claude Rains. It was called Angel on My Shoulder.
Okay.
It's about a gangster who gets sent to hell, and Claude Rains is the devil.
Angel on My Shoulder. All
And
right. I gotta
he
look that up.
looks just at Paul Muni's got a double back up on Earth, and he puts him back in the body of the devil, the guy, to
Hmm.
ruin this guy's career, and everything backfires on the devil. I found it to be a great film. That's one.
All right. Love it. I have to watch that one.
2, I just saw a great film the other night. You're gonna think I'm crazy. Maybe it's because of the Christmas thing. I fell in love with The Bishop's Wife, starring Cary Grant
Nice.
Yeah.
and David
Nice.
Niven. Phenomenal film.
Nice. Very
Phenomenal
nice.
film. So that would be one. I know everybody says The Godfather, which I think is flawless.
Right. Of course. Of course.
Which I want to tell you a tidbit, and you can use it after I get done with it. My favorite. And now I'm so off base here.
No.
My favorite movie. It's my favorite. And the only reason why I say this is because my mother took me when I was a little boy
All
on a
right.
bus in Brooklyn to see this film. And she bought me a car, the replica of it. Chitty Chitty Bang Bang.
Nice.
Love it.
Dick Van Dyke.
Twisted. Yeah.
Can I throw you for a loop? Because you guys were probably figuring I'd be doing all these there's so many great films, but those 3 stand out.
All
I
right.
love it. When you said the car and the thing, I thought you were going to say Steve McQueen movie.
No,
Uh,
Chitty Chitty Bang Bang.
Bullet. I love
Always,
it.
always been my favorite. Dick Van Dyke. I love him, and I just there's so many films. I'm like a big Jack Lemmon fan, The Great Race, and all his films. Dick Van Dyke. I like a lot of different things. It's not just
Yeah.
I never got into show business to be a gangster. That's not what I wanted to do. I wanted to be a little more versatile and play other roles. That's why I like comedy so much. Now,
Right.
to tell you a tidbit,
Yes, please.
In the first Godfather, and I've always wanted to pass it on to Coppola if I ever got to see him again. He saw me when my daughter Nicole got off the plane with my wife Teresa, and my daughter was walking, and I
Mm.
broke down crying. He was with Sophia, and they were looking at me. It was a sincere moment because it was not acting or anything. He was like looking at me, going like, "Oh my God!" I'm like, "Look at you!" You know, I was like and hugging, and it was a real moment. So
Yeah.
that was special. But here it is in the first Godfather. Okay, when Don Corleone dies.
Right.
And everybody's at the funeral. There's one
Yeah.
person missing. Can you guess who?
Hold on. Hold on.
I'm gonna blow your
One
mind with
one
this.
one character that's missing.
One lead character.
One lead character.
Don
Obviously him,
Corleone.
but who else?
Well, and lead character that was still alive at
Yep.
that point in the movie. Hang
Yep.
on. Was it Oh no, she was there. His daughter.
Mm-mm.
Hold on. Tessia was there, right? Was
Clemenza
Tessia
was
there?
there. Johnny
Tessia
Fontaine was there.
Fontaine was there.
Azzini, Tatalia.
Mazzini was there. Tatalia. Obviously, Michael. You had Tom.
Okay.
Oh, Fredo.
Where is he?
That's right. Fredo's not there.
Why isn't he there?
That's right.
Now, you know as
Fredo's
well as
not in any of
I
the
do,
shots.
in any Italian family, especially back then, I don't care if he was in Alaska, they would have flew him home for the funeral. Why wasn't Fredo there?
He was in Vegas, wasn't he? At that point, they
Yeah.
sent him.
So,
They sent him to Vegas.
okay.
Nobody invited him.
Well, because he's the weakest link of the whole family.
Whether
I mean,
he's the
Fredo.
weakest link at all in an Italian
I'm
family,
smart,
he would be there.
He's the Judas.
but what?
He
Why
would
would
be
do you?
there.
But do you know why he wasn't there?
Still nobody gave me an answer. I'm dying to run into Coppola and ask just wait, answer that question to me. Was Casal
He was
sick
in the
that day or
bathroom.
something? But the movie was flawless, and I'm going, there's something there that I go, it doesn't make sense.
You know what? Hang on. Because I know my dad read the book, The Godfather. I never read the book. It's a book he's been dying for me to read. I'm wondering if it's in the book. And it says why Fredo's not there. It's got to be.
Maybe
It's got to be in the
maybe it's
book.
in the book, but I think they would hit on it in the movie.
Wow. Yeah, that's true. Fredo is not there. Oh, I'm gonna have to. Have you ever looked it up on the internet? Have you
No,
ever Googled it
no,
or anything?
never did.
There's
But
got
it
to be a
always
reason
puzzled
why.
me. It always puzzled me. I've always said, I asked a friend of mine, my friend Nick Vallelonga, who run for Green Book, who wrote it and produced it. I said, when you see Christopher Coppola, or you meet what's his name, Francis.
Yeah.
So your friend wants to know who came up with this. I may not be the only one. I can't be the only genius that caught it.
No.
You know
No.
that
It's
why wasn't the man there?
That's such a good question. We got to find out.
See,
John
There's some trivia.
Cazale simply wasn't available that day.
So what it's Mark just Googled it.
Coppola's been quoted as saying the funeral scene was shortened by a day in the shooting schedule and had to be rushed. Most likely explanation for Fredo's absence is that John Cazale simply wasn't available that day.
That's
speculation.
Speculation. But to
Now,
your point, you got to
I'm
fly
gonna
him
tell
in.
you something. When you're a young actor, and Casal, great actor as he was, may he rest in peace. He always thought he'd be bigger than what he if he had lived, he would have went on to great things. He would have been there.
Yeah.
In a movie that big, you would have been there. There's just something's off.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you on that. I don't disagree with you on that.
I always
That's
say
very
that to
interesting.
people, and they all go, "Gee, I never thought of it." And I go, "Yeah, it just doesn't make sense."
No, it doesn't. It doesn't make sense. That's right. Fredo was not there. Oh man, well, Anthony, thank you so much, dude.
Thanks for having me on. This is a lot of fun.
This is great. Well, stay with us here. I'm just gonna give a plug to our sponsors. Oh, before we do that, do you have anything where people can follow you on social media? You have anything coming out? I know you said the Narrows. Anything you want to plug while we have you on here?
Just the Narrows that's going to come out. Everything else right now. Now that we're getting back into the game again, so to speak, I've just got to wait and see. On that other project I was talking to you about, I don't know.
I know.
What they're going to do because they basically are revamping the whole show.
Yes.
They shot
Yeah.
9 episodes, and they're revamping the whole thing, so I don't know if
You don't know if you made it or not.
I didn't even shoot yet.
Oh.
So, who knows? You know, that's the listen, I was
This
supposed to
business,
start
man.
I'm supposed to start a movie in March, February, March with John Travolta. We started it last year. It was me. I mean, I'm not me like one of the stars, you know, but I'm one of the players. It
Yeah.
was John Travolta, Katherine Heigl, Christopher Walken, Dan Aykroyd, Talia Shire.
Oh wow. Wow. It's
Dre
like the all-star team.
I know.
Dre DiMatteo, I think Drea DiMatteo or something like that, from The Sopranos.
Yeah.
Which will be playing my sister. Me, Travolta. I'd be playing Travolta's brother. It's a movie called That's Amore that Nick wrote and he's directing.
Mm-hmm.
And we were supposed to do it. We were started. It got some kind of situation arose, and we were supposed to now go at it again in March. I don't know if we are or not. Or it's up in the air. But it's a great story. This is a film that if it does get made, which I would think it will, I don't know when, but when it does, it'll be Academy Award. This one will go right. Travolta would probably win for this.
Okay.
One,
Oh, that's well. When you're back into production, we'll get you back on the podcast. You have to tell us about all the stories working with Travolta and everything like that, please.
He's a nice guy. I never met him before. His sister played my mother on General Hospital, and she played Scott Baio's mother on Charles in Charge when I guest starred on that as a kid.
Oh my God, that's awesome.
Go way back.
I love it.
I love it.
Anthony,
thank you so much for coming on, man. Stay here. I just want to give a plug to our sponsor, Central Jersey Nursery in Hillsborough, New Jersey. Feel free to go check them out. Central Jersey Nursery on Hillsborough. It's been there for 50 years. You get yourself a nice poinsettia. Get a little something. I don't why am I'm so Irish and I'm
because you're talking to this guy.
He's
the Italian that plays Irish guys.
I do. Even on Rescue Me, Bobby. What was my name?
That's right. You on Rescue Me. Another one of my favorite shows.
I played Bobby Vincent, another Irish guy.
That's right. Yes.
I did a gig in Jersey. I won't say who it was for. It was a corporate gig. And I went up on stage. And before they had this big dinner, and this lady came over who hired us. And she kept insisting that I looked Irish. And I thought she was joking around.
Yeah. And
I started laughing. I was like, yeah, my last name's Riccadonna. It's super Irish. And I go on stage and I start doing bits about Angie and about my parents and about being Italian. And I can hear her in the back of the room going, he told me he was Irish.
Oh, my God. That's funny.
That's
very
great.
Funny.
Anthony Sank, thank you so much for coming on to the show. Another great interview.
A great show.
Well, I want to wish you guys and your viewers, first of all, say Merry Christmas.
Yes,
Happy Hanukkah, and Happy New Year to everybody. And please be safe, and may God bless everybody. And thank you guys very much.
Thank you. All right. Thanks, folks.
Bye, guys.
Welcome to the 624 Pod, your home for all things independent films. We're going to discuss all the positives and negatives when it comes to independent filmmaking. We're going to have incredible guests from the film industry talk about behind-the-scenes experience, the good, the bad, the ugly, and how the industry has changed in the past 10, 20
minutes.
30, minutes, hours, years. That's the point. It's always changing. And of course, we will always focus on independent filmmaking right here in our state of New Jersey. I'm Tom Baldinger.
And I'm Mark Riccadonna.
All right, let's do this.